Hi guys, and here's OT as well. You may have seen my first video already, but I am Rachel and I am here to do a little weekly reading vlog, my first ever reading vlog. I'm so excited to talk through all the books that I'm going to try and read this week with you, and also just take you through my daily life as a tattoo artist, as just a girl who loves a cozy, chill vibe, and with my little baby boy here who is kind of going crazy and really not understanding why I'm talking to the windowsill right now. So to start with, I'll tell you what books I'm currently reading. The first one that I'm reading physically is the second book in the Emily Wilde series, which is Emily Wilde's Map of the Otherlands. I am obsessed with the series. I really love the first one. I actually reread it just recently, and I just got a little rant here for a moment because I asked on my Instagram ages ago, what is the vibe? What is the season with which this is set in? Because I'm very seasonal with my reading, so if it's like a wintry setting, I want to read it in winter, and it was snowing like last week, so I was like, oh, is it like wintry? Is it summery? Is it spring? Like, please tell me, anyone who's read this, what the vibe is. And I got so many different answers. Everyone was like, winter, oh, it's winter, oh, it's spring, it's definitely spring, like, oh, it's like, someone said summer, someone said, literally every single season was said, someone said autumn. This is the most wintry ass book I have ever read. Like, I'm sorry to anyone who didn't say winter. Delusion, actual delusion. I mean, I kind of understand the autumn because technically it's set in October as well, but it's set in October in the Austrian Alps, so it's like in a little chalet. They're going up and it's getting snowed on. It's set in the Winterlands for the most part so far. I've got about 100 pages left and it has literally just been a pretty snowy setting for the entire book. So whoever said autumn and spring and summer, I've got questions. I've got actual questions for you. So this series is about Emily Wilde, who is a Dryadologist who teaches and tenures at the University of Cambridge. And in the first one, she is composing her Encyclopedia of Fairies. So she visits a sort of like Norwegian-inspired land where she goes to study the local folk, and she is, much to her dismay, accompanied by her fellow professor, Wendell Bambleby, who she suspects for many years is actually a high fae prince. And shenanigans ensue from there. It is written as if it's like a diary, and she, Emily, is very blunt and very to the point, very just sharp as well, and she's very witty, and she cannot stand Wendell Bambleby, but I mean, can she really? They are such contrasting characters. He constantly refers to her as like a dragon-breathing, heartless fiend, whereas he is very extroverted, very bubbly, he's very charismatic, he charms all the locals instantly. And again, she kind of hates that about him. She thinks he has forged a lot of his published articles and stuff as well, and she is a very dedicated academic scholar, so she kind of hates that. Ultimately, they end up on this trip together and things ensue. Again, I don't want to spoil anything with this being the second one, but this does follow their pursuits. They perhaps might eventually, you know, develop feelings for each other. Wendell is a very much a Howl-like character from Howl's Moving Castle, and I absolutely love that about him. There is a scene in the first one, which again, I don't want to spoil anything, where a certain character is in a certain amount of peril and he arrives, and the flip of the switch within his psyche and his personality is just so incredible to watch. I was obsessed with that, and this features that a little bit more, I think, in this second installment. This follows Emily and Wendell as she is now trying to compose a map of the Otherlands, and then in this world there are lots of fairy doors and fairy portals that lead to different places, and they are actually trying to find a fairy door back to a certain realm. This journey takes them to the Austrian Alps, and they have a couple other side characters now. In the first one it was mainly focused on those two, and there's two more side characters in this that are kind of introduced as more of a prominent theme. And I actually really like both of them. I think they're quite interesting. I think the old man, he's called Dr. Rose, is annoying, and I can picture him so perfectly as exactly the type of man that he is. And also her niece is now involved in this as well, which she has a bit of a strained relationship with. So yeah, I've got 100 pages after this. Needless to say, I am really enjoying it so far, as always. I expected to. The first book I gave 5 stars. This will probably be 5 stars too. The other book I'm reading is on audiobook right now, and it is The Dryad Storm by Laurie Forrest, and this is the 5th, I think, and final book in the Black Witch Chronicles series. It came out recently. The audiobook is 32 hours long, which is kind of killing me off, and I listen to my audiobook on 2.5 times speed anyway. I commute about 40 minutes a day, so I do get a fair amount read, but it's probably still going to be at least next week by the time I finish that, so you might not see the end of that book and hear my thoughts in this vlog at least. I mean, it depends how long I decide to run this for. It might be a weekly vlog, it might extend longer. Who knows? I haven't decided yet. This series is actually really strong. I think if you like Throne of Glass, if you like sort of Fae series as well, you would probably really enjoy it. However, I do think the first one got a bit besmirched a while ago when it first came out, because I think some people read it without having perhaps any media literacy, and decided that it was racist. And I understand their initial thoughts of this, because the main character's perspective, she is from an oppressor. She is a part of an oppressive group. However, this is a direct point in the book that is addressed throughout the entire series, and it doesn't even fall, in my opinion, into the sort of white saviour trope either. Like, it is very good. Also, no one in this series is actually white. They are like green, they're different creatures, they're not human. So it doesn't fall into the white saviour trope for that regard, but it also doesn't fall into it in the sense that there are other characters of lots of different oppressed ethnicities, etc., who also play a huge role in this. And I really love the series so far. The first to third books were absolutely great. The fourth book left on a bit of a weird cliffhanger. Again, I can't spoil, but something happened, and if you know, you know, someone died that I was just flabbergasted at. And if that's the route that they are taking, I don't know how much I'm going to love this final one. I think I'm a couple hours in so far, and I am also extremely confused. There are so many side characters, it is massively expansive, so much more than you probably expect from a sort of YA new adult series like this. It is very high scope, and it's very sort of high concept as well. And I do really love it. I love the concepts, I love the different races, I love the world as a whole, I love the magic systems that they have in here. It's very much like to do with Dryadology, hence Dryad Storm. There's lots of nature magic. It's very, very detailed and very in-depth. However, having not read from this series in a year and a half-ish, because I binged all four of them back to back, like, are they last year or the year before? It's a bit of a struggle getting back into it. I literally have no idea what's going on. They're throwing names at me, they're throwing so many side characters who are on so many different quests in so many different parts of the world, and I do not know what is happening, but I'm slowly remembering bits as it's coming to. I don't think I need a reread. I think it's just like being thrown straight in at the deep end. It's straight into action scenes with loads of different long-named characters that I'm just a bit like, So yes, I'm reading that as well. So they're the two books you'll probably see me read in the next couple of days. I'm hoping to finish Map of the Otherlands today, so I'll probably take you through what I'm planning to read for the rest of the week as well, physically. Currently, I'm debating between Moonbound by Robin Sloan, The Tainted Cup by Robert Jackson Bennet, and also maybe even Valor by John Gwynne, and going into like an epic fantasy. I'm a bit undecided. Maybe I'll just change it up entirely. We'll see. I'll take you through it either way. But yes, welcome to my first ever vlog. I am so excited to keep doing this. I'm so excited to take you through my day. Today I've got some Pilates this afternoon, and then I have a client in at about 1:30. So as you can see, I'm in my Pilates attire, and I will after that be doing a tattoo till probably about 4 or 5, and then I'll come back, eat my tea, and then do some reading. So I am excited to keep you updated. I will definitely, like I said, also be reading some of the Dryad Storm because I listen to that in my commute, so I'll give you a little update when I see you later. This is what happens when you have a fluffy dog and black Pilates pants. And that's why we also have 10 lint rollers in this house. Hello. Super quick update because I've got to get home and it's rush hour traffic right now. I have read about 8 hours so far of The Dryad Storm by Laurie. I've listened to it on audiobook, so I think I've actually only listened to it for about 2 hours, but because of the 2.5 times speed, I'm about 8 hours in. And I am still in the prologue section. I have not had a single chapter from the actual main character, who I've been following for the past 4 books. What's going on? I swear to God. There's a couple of novellas that existed that I didn't read because I didn't think they were 100% essential, but apparently maybe they were, because I have no idea what's going on. I do remember some of the characters that were introduced, but they were so very much side characters that I do not understand why we're following them as if they're like main POVs right now. Like I said, we still haven't heard from the actual main character yet. We haven't seen the main character, we haven't seen the main love interest. I don't know what's going on. We're 8 hours in. That is like at least between, what, 100, 200 pages? Maybe even more? 200 pages into a book, I should have at least had a chapter from the main character who I've been following for 4 other books right now. Oh, it's absolutely crazy. And not only that, but the exposition is, for lack of a better word, absolutely unhinged. Like, the amount of info dumping and exposition in these chapters is crazy. And obviously we're having to establish all these characters because we've not had POVs from half of them before. So it's just you getting thrown into these bombastic battle scene sequences and you're like, what is going on? The characters don't even know what's going on sometimes. It's a bit bananas. And honestly, it's been quite disappointing so far. Like, it's action-packed, it's keeping me hooked and attentive, but I should know and be more invested in what is actually going on right now than I am, especially 5 books in, and this is the finale of the series, like 8 hours in and no main character. What do you mean? Anyway, I'll update you later. Guess who's home? Little update from my throne of pillows, but I have just finished Emily Wilde's Map of the Otherlands, and I am super sleepy, so cannot give any articulate thoughts, but I think I need to sit on it till tomorrow morning, and I will give you a further update then. Good morning, everyone. It is actually Wednesday morning now, and I am just about to head to the gym. Oh, here comes Oti as soon as I sit down to use me as his personal cushion. But I'm here to chat to you about the fact that I have, hello, I have just finished Emily Wilde's Map of the Otherlands. I read the first book a couple of years ago and absolutely loved it. I gave it 5 stars at the time, and I just recently reread it. It was slightly more of like a skim reread. I didn't like dive right into it and like read it as in depth if I've just read Map of the Otherlands, but I still really enjoyed it and gave it 5 stars again. I am still slightly conflicted about this because it feels like it should be a 5 stars for me, but no, 5 stars for me is a feeling, you know, you get that 5-star feeling. And I just don't know whether this gave me that same feeling that the first one did. There were definitely elements of this that gave me that 5-star feeling. I'm sorry, the boy's going absolutely crazy right now. How am I supposed to... Hello? You being calm for the camera now? Yes? I really enjoyed this installment as well. We are still following Emily and Wendell Bambleby, who is one of my favourite characters at the moment. He is very much Howl from Howl's Moving Castle, whereas Emily is very uptight, rigid, scholarly. She gets called like a fire-breathing dragon sort of scholar by Wendell all the time, which I think is quite accurate because she is very sharp and is not afraid to be extremely blunt and take other characters down academically. We also followed Rose and Ariadne in this as well, who were 2 side characters who were only introduced in this book, and I really enjoyed having both of them along for the ride. I think it gave less time to the villagers and stuff than it did in the first book in this particular set, but I actually think it really benefited it because I enjoyed having like another academic to push back at Emily, because sometimes she is wrong, and I do think she has a little bit of like a not arrogance problem, but she is too headstrong for certain situations that she should probably consider a little bit more. She had a little bit of an overconfidence problem, and that was sort of addressed and looked into in this a little bit more, which I really enjoyed. And obviously we still had that lovely, delicious tension between Emily and Wendell, which I really loved, and I loved getting more scenes with them romantically as well. Overall, I really enjoyed the expansion of the Fae lore and the Fae worlds as well. I love the new little Fae creatures that we got to see, as well as some old returning ones from the first book, and it was just a really great time. I'm thinking I'm going to settle on probably like a 4.5, 4.75 even. Maybe I'll change my mind when I actually come to rate on Goodreads, because it's all about that finger, you know. I mean, even on Goodreads, because you can't rate half stars or anything, it'll probably be a 5 star, but it's more for like Storygraph. I'm very picky with my 0.5 ratings. Hello. This giant head. I'm also going to give a quick update on the Dryad Storm, which is the 5th book in the Black Witch Chronicles. I am still, I think I updated you in the car the other day, but I got 8 hours into this audiobook, and I was still in the prologue.
It is absolutely insane. Like, I would listen to a 2.5 times speed, so I hadn't actually listened for 8 hours. That is the longest prologue I have quite literally ever read in my entire life. And currently I'm really thinking that Laurie Forrest has taken on and bitten off a little bit more than she can chew with the scope of the story and all the different races and all the different side characters she's introduced over the previous 4 books, to the point where she is now having to very conveniently shuffle everyone into certain places very quickly as well. So we've had a character who has been in 3 battle scenes so far, who has done a complete 180 in their character just in this book. I am still enjoying it. Tackles a lot about religious trauma, and a lot of environmentalism is coming into this one as well. It's very overt allegories for that, but I do quite enjoy it at the same time. I think she maybe has just taken on too broad of a scope for what she's actually able to achieve within at least 1 book. I feel like there should have probably been at least 2 more. Like I said, there are some side novellas as well that exist that I didn't read because I was told that they were not essential. However, apparently I think they might have been essential because I had no bloody clue who half these characters were. Like, I'm sure I met them before at some point, but maybe briefly or very offhandedly, and then suddenly they're like a main POV. But yes, like I said, I can't really spoil too much, but because it's the 5th and final book in a series, and so far I'm just extremely disappointed. The writing is a bit shoddy as well. The convenience of the story and the info dumping is absolutely unhinged. There's a ludicrous amount of it. So I don't know, I'm not really feeling it too much, but I will finish it since it is the final book in this 5-book series that I have been dedicated to for this time. But like I said, it's just such a shame because I think I gave the first 2 or 3 books like 5 stars, and then the 4th book was a disappointment, and now this, like an 8-hour prologue to just shuffle people in the right places, is just insane. It's actually bordering on criminal, to be honest. So I probably won't update you too much more on this because I am actually into the story now. We finally had a POV chapter from the main character. Yes, I will get back to you after I return from the gym and walk the dog and stuff like that. You probably see a little bit of B-roll, and we can choose another book together because I am very excited to do that. Also, please excuse my greasy ass fringe. Who goes to the gym and has a shower beforehand? Not me, not me. Everyone else can deal with my greasy fringe. Well, you're probably thinking that was the quickest trip to the gym ever, and wow, you look so fresh. You still don't look sweaty and horrible. That's because I didn't go. I forgot to put my car on charge last night, and I have an electric car, so it had 16 miles on, and the gym is about a 60 miles there, 60 miles back trip, so I had to cancel my class, which is really annoying. It's fine, I will instead take this little guy on a walk before I get my sports therapy massage later today. Honestly, part of me is a little bit glad because I was feeling very tired this morning, but then also, if I'd known this, I could have had an extra hour in bed, so a little bit fuming. Okay, we're at the TBR cart. This is just to remind me of what I would like to read relatively soon. So, for example, this is on here because it was snowing the other week and I was like, oh my god, I actually have a snowy horror book that I wanted to read and have been meaning to read for 2 years. It is now not snowing anymore, so the time has kind of passed, but I definitely want to read this because I'm trying to loosely participate in Becca and the Books Catch-Up Book Club for this series. I read the first one last year, and yeah, I've just been meaning to continue for a while, but I thought now is the time since she's doing the book club. So this is on here for that. Inbound. So this really, really intrigues me. So this is set in the future. Please ignore my like scrawny gym clothes in the background, but this is set in the future where I think humanity has sort of went through a lot of upheavals, and it is kind of reverted to like a fantasy landscape. So there's like wizards and mages, but there's still some sort of like ancient technology, which is obviously our modern technology. But yeah, it's just, I don't know, something about this really intrigues me. Other option is the Tainted Cup. Honestly, I feel like I'm leaning towards this at the moment. I don't know why. This cover I'm kind of obsessed with, and I honestly don't usually like mystery fantasies, but I've only heard incredible things about this, and honestly I wasn't intrigued at all. I wasn't going to pick it up at all. I looked at the Broken Binding edition when that first came out and I was going to get it, and then I was like, no, don't be silly, you don't like mystery fantasies. However, I recently found out that the world is similar to sort of like Attack on Titan / Godzilla, and there's giant monsters, which I don't know why, but that was an instant yes for me. So I will see if I can look past the sort of Sherlocky elements of mystery in this fantasy setting, and sort of like the crime partner aspect, because I just don't tend to vibe with that, unfortunately. I tried reading is it the Richard Swan series last year, and I just really did not enjoy that at DNF'd. So hopefully this will be more up my street, with the world being a little bit more interesting. Obviously there's mushrooms on the cover too, so I mean, look at that. Tell me this cover isn't a bit of me. We're gonna hope. And the second one comes out soon too, so I think it's going to be between these two, but I'm just not 100% sure yet. I can't decide. What are we thinking? Both such gorgeous covers as well. Look at this like colour scheme. Ooh, stunning. She's stunning. I will get back to you when I have made a decision. Hello. I am back and I am freshly laundered. I'm here with Odie, and I have decided, as you might be able to see, to pick up the Tainted Cup next by Robert Jackson Bennet. Made it nice and cozy in the house. I've just cooked a little bit of meal prep for the next couple of days, and I'm going to make myself a nice hot chocolate or cup of tea. I can't quite decide yet. I'll get back to you on that. And I'm going to sit down, curl up and read a good chunk of this book. I'm hoping to get about 100 pages read, hopefully, or at least 50. So from my understanding, this book is a sort of mystery/detective fantasy story set in a city where a crime has been committed, and said crime has effectively allowed a tree or some sort of plant or growth or fungus to just explode from this person. I don't actually know whether it's a crime or whether it's like a happening, but either way, the main character, who is kind of like a Sherlock Holmes style woman, has been sent to investigate it. And I think she has kind of like a Watson figure as well, who helps her, because I think she is quite like neurodivergent coded and gets overstimulated quite a lot. And I think from the sounds of the synopsis that she needs kind of assistance in the field dealing with the actual people aspect of it. And yeah, I've heard it's also set in a walled city, which again is giving Attack on Titan vibes, which I do kind of love. Also sort of like Godzilla-y vibes, or right, side tangent. I have a very specific love of a subgenre of film, like kaiju films and stuff. Like, I love Pacific Rim. It's one of my favourite films of all time. The second one is bad, we don't talk about that, but the first one absolutely slaps. And I don't know why, but that part of the synopsis and the world building for this was really giving that, mixed with like Attack on Titan, like a walled city that's constantly hammered by attacks from these giant monsters. Like, I don't know, that really appealed to me, and that sold me on this book, because as I've mentioned previously, mystery fantasy doesn't really appeal usually, because I don't tend to read any mysteries or thrillers or anything like that. I have read one of their books before. Hello little boy. I know. You just can taste my chocolate moisturiser. I'm nothing but a glorified cushion for this dog. I read the first book in, what is that series called? Which I entirely, oh my god, Odie, I know you love me, I know. Anyway, I read the first book in his other series. Oh my gosh, what was that called? Foundry Side. That's what it's called. Yes, I know, you're so licky today. I get lots of kisses. I know. This is clearly not a good place to actually film, because this dog just won't leave me. I've read Foundry Side by Robert Jackson Bennet, and I actually really enjoyed it. I think I gave it 4 stars, 4.25, but I never continued for some reason. I think it was because at the time the series as a whole was very hard to get in the UK, so I could only really get these like American paperbacks. And the shipping for them was a little bit insane, and they kept publishing them in different sizes, so I just kind of gave up until the entire series was out, or it got published in the UK. So I actually do need to reread that and get back into that series, because it has since finished. Yes, so I have read that by him and I really liked it, so I'm hoping that at least his writing style will be for me, if not the mystery aspect. And to be honest, like, I feel like from the vibes I've heard described of the main character through other YouTubers and other people who've reviewed it, I think I will like this main character quite a lot. I think I'll find it quite interesting to read from. So we will see. I'm hoping that at least will pull it through if the mystery aspect starts kind of failing me a little bit. But yes, I'm going to try and get cozy with the boy, who will hopefully come and be my little heated weighted blanket. Won't you? That's what he's good for. He's so fluffy. You're so fluffy. Can you see yourself? I know. Snuggle up, get cozy, and read a bit of that. So I will check in with you once I am a little bit of the way through. Hello again. It's been a little while. I actually went rock climbing with my partner, or bouldering, should I say. We haven't been in ages, so my arms and shoulders are very sore, but it was good fun. Didn't get any footage from it though. I have just hit the page 100 mark, and I'm about halfway through part 2 of this book, and I am really enjoying this so far. It's really strange because it does jump straight into the sort of mystery element of this, and again, that was the part that I was most hesitant about, but I think it might be the way that the main character is written as this sort of detective. It is very Sherlock, and I haven't read any of the original Arthur Conan Doyle Sherlock stories. I'm a huge fan of the Sherlock show on the BBC. When I was younger, so it is kind of giving that. She even has like an eye mask where she has to limit her senses, and there's a kind of sort of mind palace element. Anyway, what this book is about so far is there are 2 main characters. We've got Din and we've got Anna. Anna is the sort of Sherlock type. She is a detective. She's from a region in this world that is a lot higher in class and in nobility, and we also have a lower down apprentice figure who is Din, who is apprenticed to her. He's considered quite stupid by a lot of his colleagues, but I think it is basically just like dyslexia but not named, and because of this they consider him to be like an idiot or a buffoon, and they are all wondering how he managed to pass the test to get this apprenticeship with Anna. But in this world you can be augmented. Basically means that through biological sort of little animals, or like tiny, like almost like nanobots in their brains, can allow people to remember literally everything they say, see, do, smell, touch. Again, kind of like Sherlock's mind palace, and he actually has this ability rather than the actual detective. He is apprenticed to her, and she uses his ability to reflect on all of these crime scenes because she does not enjoy leaving the house, and she is very eccentric. So together they can piece together these crimes that are occurring, and we have joined immediately on this very gruesome murder that has occurred where someone has been poisoned with some sort of biological weapon. It's resulted in a plant sprouting out of them and like bursting them apart basically. This sort of superficial mystery is solved fairly early on. I think that's in the synopsis, so it's not a spoiler. Really what it unearths is the larger politics at play, because also, as I mentioned before, this world has a slight sort of Pacific Rim Attack on Titan sort of vibe, where the world is set within a walled community which have these giant leviathans slash monsters who attack these walls every wet season. And we have already had an attack of these creatures, and I found that scene really engaging and really interesting because I, as you know, love Pacific Rim and Attack on Titan, as I previously mentioned. So I don't know, I just love like a kaiju situation, and this is kind of giving that, but with modern day Sherlock. And it's just a really fun combination, and I'm really enjoying it so far. Like I said, I was a bit nervous about the sort of mystery aspect, but honestly it's kind of slapping the spot. It's kind of slapping. The writing style is really engaging as well. It's cleverly written, it's quite witty, and I am enjoying the characters' POVs as well. You do kind of read more from Din than you do from Anna. Anna is very much a character in Din's life, if that makes sense, but I think it's just a really fascinating take on the sort of detective story in this wider scope world, because I do tend to find that, at least in fantasy sort of mystery situations, the world and the world building tends to just be very political. It is still high fantasy typically, but usually with like lower magic, if that makes sense. But in this, the world and the monsters and the augmentations and the plants, it is very high fantasy, and it is high concept fantasy as well, which I'm really enjoying the combination of. So yeah, I will update you probably tomorrow. I am at work all day tomorrow, which is fun. Friday as well, so it might be a bit of a slow progress with this one, but I do tend to get a lot of reading done in the evening, so I will keep you updated as and when I do that, as well as on the Dryad Storm. So see you then. Okay, it's okay to just Hi guys, I just want to quickly jump on here because I have just finished my client session today for my tattoo, which, I mean, you'll have seen the little B-roll just before. I had so much fun doing this today, I absolutely loved it. But just wanted to quickly jump on because I didn't actually really update you yesterday at all, I don't think. Really busy and so tired all day, but I've read a lot more of the Dryad Storm by Laurie Forrest, and my guys, if I wasn't 5 books deep into the series, I probably would have DNF'd this by now. It is so heavily exposition-y. There's far too many characters. Like, I definitely just feel like the author has bit off far more than they can chew with the scope of the story that they were going for, and their actual execution of it is just so painfully middling. I have 6 hours and 2 minutes left at 2.5 times speed, and I will push through, I will persevere. It'll probably be early next week now by the time I finish it, but oh my god, like, it's just so frustrating because I feel like the series started so strong. It started incredibly well. The first, second and third books I absolutely loved. I ate them up, I binged them back to back last year. It's just so mid. It's just so mid. And I'm so upset about it. I would love to read you some of the writing to just like express exactly how I'm feeling about it, because there's no other way to describe it other than just constantly like, oh, they did this through their X magic that they got through X, and then they did X to get the X. You know what I mean? Like, oh, their fire fae magic came alive and he sensed his fae fire magic pushing back, and this fire magic was increased because of like all like just it's like it's furiously and constantly trying to re-establish itself all the time, as if the reader will have forgotten everything and how everything works. And don't get me wrong, there are far too many characters in this, so that like, yeah, it's actually kind of essential that you need that, but it makes it painfully boring to read. And especially when it's such an action-packed plot as well. Like, it's been non-stop since we started. It was like straight into action scene, action scene, action scene. And yeah, I'm still bored because all of them are melding into the same thing. It's getting frustrating in that like, they keep getting so close to doing something. They're like, oh, we figured it out. And then the villain will just destroy everything just as they're about to do the thing. And I'm like, well, oh, and then they're back to square one, like, and then they're infighting with each other. And it's just like the themes are all extremely heavy-handed as well. In other way, I like the themes. Like, there was a lot of themes of like religious trauma and environmentalism in the previous books, but I'm so done with it all. I'm so done with it all. I really need them to wrap this up quickly. A little spoiler section to now if you haven't read the series and you are planning to, because I'm going to just give you a little spoiler here. Anyone who hasn't read the 4th book, look away now. But since they killed Lucas, I feel like I clocked out at that point because I was like, that's a stupid writing decision. Like, it feels painful for the characters. It's silly. It just didn't feel right. I feel like, again, they've just got lost in their own plot. Yes, I feel like they've got lost in their own plot. They've got overwhelmed with everything they set up, and it's just not good. It's not great. But we're going to persevere through. I did not get 4.5 books deep into the series. Did not finish it and see how it ends. But I don't know. We'll see. I feel like lots of characters are going to have to die, and if that's the case, like, I'm not going to care because there's so many of them that I haven't really had a chance to get attached to any of them. It's so frustrating. It's so frustrating. I'll do another update at some point with talking about the Tainted Cup because I am really enjoying that still. And also I think I'm doing some archery tomorrow. Me and my partner have booked a beginner's archery class, so I'll probably take you along with that as well. So, see you soon. Major zoomies. Good evening. I have my hair in the most wacky ass situation right now. But obviously I mentioned before that I'm doing archery tomorrow, and with my ginger hair I was like, I've got to do at least a bit of a Merida situation. So we're going for the curls. I saw this weird Instagram tutorial and we're gonna give it a shot. I'm gonna update you on this tomorrow because I feel like everyone really needs to see the true outcomes of these things, because I am not expecting good things. So stay tuned for the result of this situation. It is morning. It is the moment of truth. Time to take this out. Okay. How do I get this out? Okay, I think that's just caused like a ginormous mat in my hair, but it's supposed to be romantic era curls. That was the vibe that this lady said would be created. It just looks like a rat's nest, doesn't it? I mean, ready for archery though. He looked at me and just like...
Anything to say to the folks at home?
I like Craigside. Hello! We have just got back in from a lovely walk with some friends at Craigside. It was such a nice afternoon. It was really just blew the cobwebs off a little bit because it was nice and chilly, but that like sunny chilly, you know? I am very sleepy, as you might be able to tell now, and it is Sunday afternoon, like I said. We had a great time at archery yesterday as well. That was really, really fun. I'll have inserted some B-roll, which you'll have seen already, but I am about 100 pages from the end of the Tainted Cup, and I will be giving you an update on that later tonight when I hopefully, fingers crossed, finish it. But for now, I'm going to do my design that I've got to do for my tattoo tomorrow, and I'll probably film a little behind the scenes for that just so you can see my design process. We're going to watch The Walking Dead. Well, my partner's going to watch The Walking Dead. I'm going to be drawing whilst that's on in the background because as a girly, I can multitask. And then we're probably going to snuggle up and watch some Shogun again, which we're also really enjoying. Spoiler for my update on the Tainted Cup later, I am still loving that. Spoiler for the Dryad Storm, I am not so much loving that, but again, I'll update and summarise everything I've read in this vlog later tonight. And yeah, I'm so... So, I'm about to draw my design now. This piece is for tomorrow, and my client wants a dragon with some florals surrounding them in a quite a delicate, dainty style. And this is actually for tomorrow. This is my design from the other day, but this is actually for tomorrow, and it's going to be a full-day session probably, and I'm super excited for it. So yes, I thought since it is quite a fantasy, bookish related tattoo with it being a dragon, you can have a little snoop and watch me as I draw it behind you. Hello friends, it is a few days later and someone wants to say hello. You got your ball stuck in my pocket. You can't see this, but there. He likes to sit and wait at the window for when my partner pulls up in his car, which he parks like right outside the window, so he just likes to sit and stare out the window all day.
Anyway, I am here to wrap up the couple of books that I read this week. I actually waited a couple of days to do this because I really actually wanted to finish the Dryad Storm as well, so I could give you an update on that. And it's not good, guys. Stay tuned for a rant about that. First, I'll talk about the other things I've read that I actually enjoyed this week. The first of which is The Tainted Cup by Robert Jackson Bennet. Like I said, finished this on Sunday night, and this was excellent. It was so good, and I am so pleasantly surprised because I genuinely thought I was gonna not hate it, but I didn't think it was going to be for me at all. I thought it might have been even a DNF after a couple hundred pages, because I just do not get along with mysteries. I've never got along with mysteries, and especially mysteries in fantasy settings. Like, I tried the Swan series that I cannot remember the name of, and I just did not like that at all. I DNF'd that after like 100 pages because it was just not for me. But for some reason, I think maybe perhaps the world building of this series just really hit for me. Like, fun, weird fact about me, I absolutely love Pacific Rim, and I also love Attack on Titan. Basically, anything with, like, kaijus, I eat that shit up. And I especially eat that shit up when they are freaky, nature-defying creatures. So, yes, that was very much included in The Tainted Cup, and that was very much a feature of the world building as a whole, as well as it's very, like, overgrown, very sort of wet and dank and, like, fungus and mushroom filled, and almost, like, Asian inspired in many ways, and it is just incredible. The world building was so interesting, and you can just feel like you could really sink your teeth into this world, and that there was so much more to explore, which I think the subsequent books in this probably will. You also get the sense that the Empire itself is very much on a sort of knife's edge. It's very much on a precipice of something, of a sort of tumbling revolution that could be getting set off in, you know, maybe by our main characters, maybe by other events that are close by. But you get the sense that it is portraying itself as being extremely strong, but it's actually very fragile. And I think we'll definitely get to see more of what that means and how this said empire might have secrets and might start to crumble in the next couple of books. But yeah, I absolutely loved it. The characters, Din and Anna. The characters Din and Anna I really, really loved. I love the sort of role reversal that he has the Mind Palace, so he's been biomedically enhanced to engrave every single thing in his memory, so he has the Mind Palace. He can reflect back and go through all these scenes and situations and recount it in exquisite detail, and then she pieces it together. So she's kind of given the Sherlock, but he's the Watson, but the Watson has the Mind Palace, if that makes sense. And it was just great. It was just really, really great. The characters were excellent, like I said, really engaging, and like I said, the world building and the plot were great, and the mystery was really good. I did predict like one or two little aspects of it, but it wasn't enough to... Sorry if you can hear that. That is the dishwasher draining, I think. But yes, I think a couple of aspects I did predict, but it was twists, it was turns, it was very fun to be along for the ride for, and I will definitely be picking up A Drop of Corruption when that comes out in a couple of months. Now on to the Dryad Storm. Okay, so I'm just checking here. I rated the first and second books both 5 stars, and the third book I think I gave a 4.5. The fourth book I didn't like as much, so I was a bit hesitant going into this one, but oh my god, I did not anticipate just how bad this book was going to be. I have no idea what happened. I've never been... Sorry, I can't just drove past. I'm shy. I've never been more bamboozled as to how an author has just suddenly lost the entire ability to write in the series. Like, the first two... I cannot express to you enough, the first 2 books were an absolutely phenomenal setup for a sort of new adult epic fantasy / romantasy series. Like, they were so good. They were Sarah J Maas level of execution and gripping, but actually even probably arguably slightly better in writing. Like, I loved what she was doing with those first books, the themes that she was tackling of religious trauma, there's themes of persecution and religious persecution specifically, there's themes of racism, homophobia, there's themes of environmentalism that run throughout this, and it was incredible. It was so good, and I could really see where she was going with it, I could really see what she was doing, and she just quite literally lost the plot towards these last few books. And this final book, I gave 1 star. 1 star. We went from 5 star, 5 star, 4.5 star, 3 star, 1 star. And I'm so upset about it. I have no idea how you can actually fumble the bag that badly. it was like the writing was entirely different. It was as if it was written by an entirely different person, almost like AI generated. Everything was described to the most painfully over enunciated detail. So for example, in the explanation thing, they would be like, they sensed X through their water power. And then every single time any character sensed anything through any part of their power, like we know, like once you say that once, we know that you can sense stuff through that power. You don't need to tell me that every single time. But she would repeat it every single time anyone sensed anything through their powers. And this was a common theme as well, because everything was extraordinarily convenient and everyone could just sense everything all the time. So when I say, literally, there would be paragraphs where it would be like, they sense this through this power, and then they did this. They said, oh no, what about this? And then they thought through this power, and they sensed through this power that they could do this. And then they thought this. And then, oh, they thought that they could sense this through this power, and this meant that they could do this. Like, this book was like 32 hours in audio book length. We didn't get any chapters from the main character, like I've already said earlier in this clip, till I think between 200 and 300 pages. We didn't have a single chapter from the main character. There were characters in the first one who I grew to love, like Diana. She had no time in this book. She had, I think, about 2 lines. And she was like a main side character in the first one. She was like a very prominent character. I'm bamboozled. I'm bamboozled. Are you bamboozled, Oti? I'm bamboozled. I'm bamboozled. It was just absolutely incredible to watch this decline. I feel like I've been like thrown into some sort of alternate reality for the series specifically, because I don't understand how you can fumble the bag that badly. And like I said, it's not that I disagree or have a fault with any of the themes and stuff that she was trying to tackle. Get it. We don't have to go so heavy-handed with it at the same time. And I feel like she had tried to tackle too many themes on too broad of a scope. I don't want to say in too much detail, because it was like she was trying to get all the sort of cliche sides of it in without actually really giving it any nuance. I also think that she had far too many characters, and these characters, most of them were introduced or given more POVs from the previous book, which is why I didn't like that previous book as much, because I was just like, okay, we've just got a million characters all of a sudden who are all just falling in love. And that was basically the entire 4th book. And then this is continued in this one, where we just have a million characters who you don't care about because you've had like 2 chapters with them ever, or they've been offhandedly mentioned like 3 books ago, and then for some reason she thinks that she needs to wrap all these people up so succinctly and give them their own POV chapters just to show you what's happened to them. I'm like, I don't care. I do not care about these people. I care about my main characters and the people you have taught me to appreciate and love in this series, and you are just absolutely leaving them to the wayside. Like, the main characters just getting... I tell you, I think that she tried to create something that was far too big of a scope, that far too many characters were involved in, and I just don't think she perhaps had the capabilities as an author to handle that and to know how to deal with that and to bring it to a satisfying and full conclusion. Minor spoilers here, I'll put some spoilers up here, so if you don't want to know anything about this last book, look away now. But another thing that massively bothered me was the villain that we've had the entire series was just eliminated very easily, it seemed. Like, it's like everything was going wrong, oh my god, they're so bad. And it's like the first time pretty much that they come face to face, it's like, oh, convenience power, we can kill him, and also, I'm pregnant. Like, what? Oh, it was so bizarre. And then I was literally like, I was listening to this on the audiobook, and I think I like reached behind me to get my bag. So like, you know when you like partially zone out for like maybe like 10 to 20 seconds, and I zoomed back in, I was like, wait, hold on, he's died and now there's a new foe, like just in that 20 seconds. It was for that was insane, and it was just so bizarre and amounted to nothing. And I thought Vogel was such a good villain up until this point. It was so bizarre, and they didn't do anything with the fact that he was an Icaral and gave no nuance to how the magedom would have reacted to that knowledge. I think especially in times as we are in right now, I think it would have been extremely interesting to have had that explored. But yes, anyway, spoilers over. I just really am absolutely flabbergasted at what happened here. It was an absolute train wreck from start to finish. I'm just so disappointed. This was what I have been recommending this series to people, and it ended like that. Like, this was one of my favourite series for a little while. Like, I was binging these when I read them. I was like, oh my god, these are incredible. And now it makes me question and want to go back to the first couple and think, were they actually written well? Because this one was atrocious. Like, truly atrociously written. It could have been at least 300 pages shorter. I don't even know. I don't even know what happened. I have not read a book this bad in a long time, and I have not read a book this disappointing, especially in a conclusion, ever. Literally. And I'm just absolutely bamboozled. I'm bamboozled. I would love to know what was going through her brain when she wrote this. It took so long to come out as well, and this is the result? Like, did you have an editor go? Because not doing the job that they were paid for, if you did have one, because my god, this was shocking. It was really shockingly bad. And I've had a look at some Goodreads reviews, and it seems like that is pretty much the consensus all round. Everyone is a bit like, there were other people even saying, like, did she write this book? It doesn't even feel like she's written this book because the first couple were just not like this. Anyway, that is an extremely long rant, and that extremely long rant is over. In all, I did have a great time reading this week. I had a 5-star of the Tainted Cup, 5-star of Emily Wilde's Map of the Otherlands, and then obviously this little cheeky 1.5-star, but I'm glad that I finished another series and I can knock that off my series list. So there's that, if anything's going to come from it, but I'm just so disappointed with that. I was literally lying in bed last night ranting to my fiance for literally like 10 minutes, and he was just like, I've got no idea what you're talking about, but sounds rough. And I was like, yes, it was rough. It is in oh my god. Okay. Anyway, I am gonna leave this here now, so thank you so much for watching. I had such a fun time doing a vlog. Honestly, it's just been so nice to be able to yap without restraint about things that that no one in my real life tends to care to listen to. Thank you for being here and watching this and listening. If you have, you can leave a comment if you enjoyed this, maybe like and subscribe, because I am hoping to put some more videos out. I'm hoping maybe one sit down video a week and maybe one vlog a week as well, if I can help it. We'll see how we go, because I am a very busy person and this is honestly just for funsies on the side. So thank you very much for watching, like I said, and I will hopefully see you very soon, and I hope you have a lovely day or night or whenever you're watching. Thanks again, and see you soon. Bye!